Hey guys, we're here. I don't know where I'm going to put this in, but we're recording this after the episode. But I guess maybe this could be at the beginning or the middle or the end. I don't know. But we have the results for the the Discord community power rankings that we did for High Noon Podcast via Raycor, I believe, was the one that
Yep.
ran this. Yeah, okay, good. I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess that up. Raycor was giving out the Razer mouse here for this power rankings contest in the Discord. So everyone who submitted, thank you for playing. Huge shout outs to Raycor for doing this. He didn't have to. He just wanted to do this of his own volition, and he did it. And Death, we have the results here.
We do. In first place, we have the man that started off with a huge lead in the first stage. We did catch up to him a little bit, but Spliso Mace comes out of this as the winner. So big congratulations to you. Some notable other finishes here. In second place, we had End, just 1 point behind Splice. So Splice had 31 points, 30 for End. And in third place, we had a tie between two Discord regulars, also High Noon family members here. We've got Dr. Witz and Thornrain tied for third place.
Nice.
Notably, I was in fifth, and Blevins dropped out halfway.
I just left my same one in the whole time.
He said if people didn't submit again in like 2 stages in a row, then he was just going to take them off the list. But either way, your stage 1 rankings that we just talked about how bad they were weren't going to win.
I'm pretty sure that's a W here. I had NYXL number 1. Ship them over.
No, all right, that's good for 1 point every stage.
There we go. 4 points. That's 4 points.
You just got to find 27 more, and then you're in the ballgame.
It wasn't even close.
No, it was a lot of fun though. This contest, honestly, scratching your beard just was the loudest thing ever for the
really.
But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Big thanks to everybody that did it. If you participated, want to know where you where you fell in the contest or what your points were, we will be putting an announcement in the Discord. Probably has already happened by the time you've listened to this, if you're already in the Discord.
Yeah, so that's gonna be it. And I don't need to do an outro because this is going in the episode somewhere. So back to the regular episode, I guess. Today's episode is brought to you by Failed Predictions.
It's high noon.
Everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, Blevins, and with me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much. Excited to take a look at how bad we are at this job.
We made it. We made it a whole season, man. This is like another. I mean, we've gone through a bunch of, I don't know. The first thing that came to my mind was phase shifts, but that's definitely not the word I'm thinking of. Just like transitions of the show. And I think the biggest one ever was definitely the start of the Overwatch League. It definitely brought the most consistency to the show that anything else has. And this is the end of the first season, so it's big milestone for Overwatch and a big milestone for us. But yeah, we get to now do what we've done a number of times and look back at how silly, or maybe not so silly, ourselves and some other community people were at the beginning of the season. But first things first, let's talk about what High Noon Productions has been up to. No ATP last week, but the week before we had Pesto, Monkey Prince, Volumil, and A Smith on. It was a really good episode. Definitely check that one out for sure. Blackwatch Report, of course, had the regular episode, but they're also going to be having a special interview with Ryan Morrison, who is the video game lawyer. He's been on the High Noon Hot Seat before. Was definitely a fan favorite there. So he's going to be on this Thursday. So in podcast land in 2 days. 2 days. At 4:20 Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/Blackwatch Report. I know Thornrain and Kyle are taking questions and comments and stuff to ask him. So get those in the High Noon Podcast Discord in the show suggestions tab. If you have any questions for him, they're going to be talking about two-way players and contenders contracts, all that stuff. I'm sure there's going to be Overwatch League mention, I'm sure, as well. So definitely check that out as well. Also had the foul play kind of season 1 recap episode yesterday. Deathblow and A Smith, you guys had that one. You want to give a little bit of a preview for that, Death?
Sure. So yeah, we look back at some of the leaders and feeders. This is the segment we've done every week. We did them for the entire season. We also did some big surprises on the year, some things that kind of forced us to adapt as fantasy owners and gave you an opportunity to make some big impact free agent acquisitions, or maybe big impact. Oops, this player doesn't start anymore and I'm screwed. Still looking at you, Shadowburn. I drafted you everywhere. And then, we also did some kind of things we're going to need to see in order to see Fantasy Overwatch improve going into next year. And then we also did our very first, top 10 rankings for season 2. We did it way too early, top 10. Those are always a lot of fun to think forward, try to predict but not over predict some of the possible changes that could be going on, things like that. So it was a whole lot of fun, and if you like hearing a lot of Overwatch talk, it was a 2-hour episode, so make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah, always a good one with foul play, and hopefully, I'm just hoping so much that we get a usable platform. I don't care if it's Winston's Lab or if it's literally anything else. I just want a stable, usable platform for fantasy.
Would be super great.
Yeah. And then maybe, hopefully. And then we had All Things Considered, of course, with host Taco. He interviewed Damian Alonso, who's an esports reporter and writer, I believe. So definitely check that out. And then also he had Volamil on last week, who, of course, is the Batman to my Commissioner Gordon for Around the Payload. But that is what has been going on with High Noon Productions. I guess we can mention it's technically a High Noon production. We can talk a little bit about Get Clucked if we want to. We're not going to talk about it a lot, but we'll preview what it is, because I know a lot of people are going to be looking for other content in the off season for Overwatch.
Yeah, so if you haven't noticed, Evans and I are pretty big fans of Realm Royale. So we decided to bring the High Noon flavor over to that particular game. We're going to be grabbing up, I know Blevins is going to be doing some YouTube content for the show. Also myself, I play games from Omnic Lab / Owl Recap, and a gentleman by the name of Thrill. If you're active in the community game nights and the podcast, things like that, you'll know Thrill from there. He also is kind of our 7th man on the podcasters team like this. We just needed to get the man a podcast so that he could stay on our team for Overwatch. But yeah, so we've been having a lot of fun with that game, and we are going to be starting a show about that. So keep an eye on that as well. You can follow at Get Cluck Show on Twitter if you are interested in all things Realm Royale.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. We're just going to kind of fly by the seat of our pants and keep doing it as long as we're having fun with it, and as long as the game doesn't implode on itself, which it almost did last weekend, but that is not, I'm not going to talk about that. That nightmare is over, at least for now. But let's talk a little bit about what we did last week. Anything fun and interesting for you, Death?
Man, honestly, I've been trying to take it easy as much as I can with the off season, everything like that. Been playing a little Realm, but no, I've been just trying to stay out of trouble, not spend too much money. We got the big trip for the finals coming up soon, and then we got BlizzCon, so all my finances are tied up in those things. But yeah, just been playing a little bit of Realm, and yeah, we had foul play obviously over the weekend. That was basically it.
Yeah, I've basically been playing Realm. It was my birthday last Wednesday. I don't know what day it was. It was one of those days.
All I know is I figured it out with 13 minutes to spare.
You had 13 minutes and you got there. And if you can see, if you're watching on YouTube or live, you can see back right there is a little NYXL flag that my girlfriend got for me. It's like a little pennant. It's awesome. I love it. So that was cool. Been playing a lot of Realm, and I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Realm. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Realm. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Realm. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Realm. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Realm. And yeah, so that was cool. Been playing a lot of Realm, and I think I just ate an ungodly amount of pulled pork and beer can chicken at my birthday party at my parents' house.
But what side am I on? Can you point at me?
That side. Oh, I messed it up. I
I'm pretty
lost
sure
it.
you're over there. I think you're over there.
It's because I wanted to use my right hand and it didn't work. Really? Wait.
It's been a long time since we've done
I feel
that.
like I feel like it's flipped because it definitely used to be like that because it was like opposite. Now this is actually the side that you're on. Like I'm actually pointing at you right now with my actual finger. Maybe my camera flipped. I don't know. But man, Unleash the Podcast. Blevins definitely would have gotten it right. He knew it was up. But let's talk about the very, very many things that happened this week in news. That's a joke. There was very few things that actually happened this week. But the thing that we did get was actually extremely, extremely big, and that was the playoff primer. If you guys have not seen it yet, I'll post the link in the description and in the description for the episode. But basically, we got everything that you need to know about the playoffs, which is awesome.
The playoff what?
Primer
Or primer?
I'm pretty sure it's primer.
I've never heard primer before in my life.
Hold on.
I'm not super confident.
How do you pronounce? I'm willing to. Let's see. Primer is pronounced with a long I sound, like minor or buyer. Okay, so it is primer. Okay. Wait, well, hold on. That's like primer if you're priming something.
Right, like the playoffs.
No. I think it's primer.
I don't think it's exclusive to paint, my friend. Anyways, it doesn't. We don't have a ton of news, but we don't have to focus.
The playoff primer. Whatever. I swear I've heard it called primer before. Maybe it's the European way. Someone, Icarium will back me up here. That's not good. That's not a good sign, is it? Almost. If he disagrees with me, then you know I'm right.
I would give a pause. Yeah.
Blevins is saying it like it means like prim and proud. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I've lost all care for it. Mostly because I'm wrong. Mostly because I'm wrong. But we've got the dates. We've got the matchups. We have all that stuff. Quarterfinals, of course, July 11th, 13th, and 14th. What is Bala? I don't know. Do you know what that means? It says July 11th, 13th, 14th, BALA. Am I missing something here?
No, I don't know what that means.
Okay,
either.
good. I thought. Oh, Blizzard Arena, Los Angeles. That's what it is. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I figured it out. Yeah. So at the Blizzard, I've never seen it called Bala. No one's ever called it Bala until right now. We've of course got Boston versus Philly and Los Angeles versus Spitfire. Semifinals will be reseeded from 1 to 4 based on quarterfinals outcomes, meaning LA Valiant will play the quarterfinal winner with the better win-loss record, and the NYXL will play the remaining team. That's
so no brackets. It's not predetermined right now. We don't know who's going to be playing against who in the second round. We only know the first round pick.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So that means that NYXL cannot play Boston no matter what, and Valiant cannot play Philly no matter what. That's the only thing that we know. Yep. Those are the only two outcomes that we know can't be a possibility. Basically, every other possibility could happen. So that's the reseeding is on July 18th, 20th, and 21st. And then the grand finals at the Barclays Center, which, by the way, we are going to be at. So if you guys are going to be there, we're going to be – well, do we already have a text channel in there for grand finals in the Discord?
You sure do.
Yeah, so if you're going to be at the grand finals, and you want to meet up, or you think it's a good idea for maybe there to be a High Noon Podcast meetup or something, hit us up on the Discord. There is a grand finals chat in the Discord, discord.me/High Noon Podcast. If you're not
there actually is now.
Okay, now there is. And the grand finals are going to be July 27th and 28th at the Barclays Center. The winner of semifinal 1 versus the winner of semifinal 2. The playoff format is going to be the first team to win 2 best-of-5 matches will advance to the next round of the playoffs. For the quarterfinals and semifinals, each series will play their first best-of-5 on Wednesday of each week. The 2 series will then play out the remainder of their matches on either Friday or Saturday. Boston versus Philly will kick off the action at 5 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday, July 11th, with LA versus London to follow. The remainder of the Uprising Fusion series will be played on Friday, July 13th. The Spitfire and Gladiators on Saturday, July 14th. At the grand finals, the 2 teams will play their first best-of-5 on Friday, July 27th, and the remainder of their matches on Saturday, July 28th. All that stuff pretty much known, but we got some dates solidified, so that's nice.
Dates and times.
Yeah, dates and times. Date and time. Here's the big one. Playoff patch. The playoffs will be played on patch 1.25. Reworked Symmetra will not be available, but Lucio and Hanzo reworked will be available.
Boo. I'm sorry. It's the right decision.
It's correct 100%.
I can't 100%, 100 times out of 100, exactly what they should have done. But I am a Symmetra main at heart, so I have to boo. I just felt morally obligated to boo it, even though I think it's absolute.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to see Symmetra except for the people who are playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I don't care about them.
Yeah, no one does. Map pool was also determined.
Really fun event to it, too.
Yeah.
They did a stream of it where they were picking the maps out of a lottery ball machine, everything like that. Puckett forgot to put the lid on, so one of them just fired out of the machine at 100 miles an hour, and he caught it out of midair, so... it was a really MVP play right there from Puckett. So MVP props to him for having cat-like reflexes.
Clearly a goalie in college or something.
Yes.
The results were Dorado and Junkertown for Escort, Oasis and Lijiang Tower for Control, Eichenwalde and Kings Row for Hybrid, Volskaya Industries and Hanamura for Assault, and Nepal is the tiebreaker Control map. The matches will progress in the following order: Escort, Control, Hybrid, Assault, and Escort again, with a tiebreaker being played on Control if needed. For map picks, the playoffs will introduce one fun wrinkle that could affect team strategy. The first 2 matches of each series will feature a pre-assigned map rotation, with the higher seed defending first for all applicable maps. But if a series goes to a third and final match, then a map selection mechanic kicks in. And here's how it goes. For the first map, the Escort map, the higher seed picks the map and the lower seed picks the side. And then every map after that, the losing team picks the map, and the winning team picks the side.
Not the team that's currently losing. The team that lost the previous map then goes into the next map with map pick.
Correct.
The team that won will pick their side based off, if it's not Control, basically.
Right. Exactly. So, interesting little wrinkle here, where like if you lose a map, if you lose a map, then you can kind of like play to your, like the maps you think are your best. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it could create some really interesting dynamics. I'm really fun for it. And just to be clear with everybody, they did select the tiebreaker for the map pool. That seems a little weird in a best of 5, but just remember the Cowards 3-0 got a lot of play throughout the season in Pick'em, so you can draw maps here, and that's why they had to select the tiebreaker for the best of 5. I'm really, really excited about this because I think it's finally going to reduce the importance of Control in the map selections here. It's not going to be your guaranteed 5th map because they're planning on it now. Escort gets to be that 5th map, which I'm really, really excited about. And then if they do need the tiebreaker in a much less frequent scenario, it will come up a lot less often that they need the tiebreaker here in this format. So if for no other reason, I'm super pumped for the playoffs just because I really don't like Control. So seeing it that often is a little frustrating. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm really, really excited. I love the map pool too. Eichenwald coming back for the first time since stage 1 is going to be big. We were talking about it like it would likely be in stage 4 because of that. So I'm really glad it came up here, found its way into the map pool. One of the better Control map pools I thought throughout the season was stage 4. And then the stage 4 map pool is basically for control is the exact same thing we're going into the playoffs with. I think Lijiang and Nepal are easily the best control maps, so I'm really happy to see them around. And if we do go to it all, an all for all the marbles kind of super tiebreaker scenario in that 6th map and the 3rd match, it'll be on Nepal, which is an early map. I think it's great that it's going to be an iconic thing. And like the only thing better might be like King's Row or something like that, but something that's been around forever. And then, I mean, I'm an Outlaws fan, and if we can't make the playoffs, we might as well inflict Junkertown on all of you to have to deal with. So that's a big one. Yeah, so I don't know. Everything looks great here. I think the only map I would have liked to have not seen in this pool is maybe Hanamura. I don't like playing that map. Potato Gardens are bad.
Yeah, get the Potato Gardens out of there. I'm just so glad that there's no Lunar Colony. That map, every time I see that map, I just get chills. I'm like, oh god, why?
Yeah, I wanted Anubis over the Hanamura, I think. Like Volskaya and Anubis to me are like the assault maps.
We've had so many good matches on Anubis. Like absolutely like iconic matches from many teams.
People love to make fun of 2CP, and it might be a little frustrating to play, and it might not be the best game mode for ranked. But for esports, I think it's the best game mode. I think you see some of the best play, and I think with the coordination they have, if you can't mop up the team fights quickly like that, it just creates a different strategy, a different way they have to attack the points. It's been very dynamic, very fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really love watching assault maps, to be honest.
Yeah, really good.
That's a tiebreaker, even though it definitely doesn't work.
No, that's like
it's the most commonly tied game mode.
Just absolutely 100% equivocally does not work there. But yeah, that's the playoff primer. I guess that's how we go. So move on and
let's break it down.
We're going to break it down here, and obviously no matches to be played and no matches. Well, we're going to be doing specific playoff breakdown matches next week. But this week we're breaking down here because this is the wrap-up episode for Season 1 regular season. We're going to talk about some of the bold predictions that Deathblow and I made, as well as some community members. And we're also going to talk about, and before people get worried, we're not going to out anyone specifically for making horrifically bad
except for the Monkey Prince.
No, we're gonna out people for making bad bold predictions. We're not gonna out anyone for bad power rankings at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, nobody's were good. Like 0 people's were good, so there wouldn't be like any shame to it. So yeah, we're not.
I'd like to say,
and they were promised to be private when we took them, so we need to maintain.
I would like to say that there was one person that submitted for the community power rankings that put NYXL at number 1. It was me. So if that means anything, and it definitely doesn't, but I'm the only one that got it right. But so we're not going to talk about specific people and trash specific people, though there are some people who definitely could be. We'll talk about like maybe number of people or like the overall consensus for those. But we're going to talk about the bold predictions here, and I went through and I like highlighted these. So we'll start with, I don't know, the ones we got right, because those are like less funny, and then we'll go with the ones we got horrifically wrong.
Yeah. Do we want to like alternate? I'll give one, you give one, or
yeah.
Okay. So my correct bold prediction, only had the one, rip me, was that a Korean team would mismanage their roster badly enough to miss the playoffs. Yeah. Now, full disclosure on this one, I was a little specific in saying that I thought London had the best chance of being that team, but I did say I didn't predict London. I predicted that one of the Korean teams would do it, and Seoul just didn't want me to be wrong. So props to them, helping me out. And to be perfectly honest with you, it was not super far off the 2 of them.
Yeah.
The most likely candidate wasn't too far off of being in a very similar situation. Just had that strong one stage in stage 1 to really fall back on to help keep them in there. So props to me. It's the last time I'll say that all episode, but props to me. Got one right.
I mean, speaking of strong one stage and Korean team mismanaging their roster, I had a team that the community rated under 6 will finish better than a Korean roster. So again, huge shout outs to Seoul here.
Like 4 of them did it because of Seoul.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sorry. No.
Rated
Dallas
under 6
is the one. Yeah. So Dallas is better than a Korean roster. Never mind. Okay,
Yeah. So Boston, which was rated number 12, finished better than Seoul. So that was good. Boston getting me there for my correct.
Philly counts too, right? Philly wasn't a top 16 people.
Philadelphia in the preseason was rated by the fans at number 9. So yes, Philadelphia also qualifies.
People were so mad they didn't show up to the
LA
preseason.
Valiant also did too, because they were technically rated number 7.
Gotcha.
So LA Valiant also qualifies for that.
You was super right.
I was super right. So there we go.
Mine not terrible, but
still technically possible.
Yeah, it's
unlikely.
Not wrong. It is not wrong.
Yeah, it's not wrong yet.
I put my Homer cap on, and I said Linkser was going to win the league MVP. Obviously, in order for that to actually happen, the team was going to have to do well and finish about where I put them in my power rankings at the time, which didn't occur. So it's safe to say Linkser is not going to be winning the MVP award here. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I mean, the guy was a standout performer on the team. He played really, really well. It wasn't the ludicrous pick here. The thing that was really missing from that being a possibility or being something that was discussed regularly was the presence of a quality Tracer player on the team to keep them active in the playoff ranks and up towards the top. Because when you look at a team like Philadelphia that has Carpe in the conversation, deservedly so, the difference between Philadelphia and Houston in this scenario, the difference between Carpe and Linkser in this scenario is one of the teams is in the playoffs and the other one's not. So not the craziest thing in the world, but yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. And also, like, the way that Houston is as a team, they don't really... It's not like Linkser is such a standout. Like, they don't play around Linkser necessarily like other teams play around their star players. It's very much more a team effort. And Houston has such a diverse team where, like, any one of the players on any given day can step up and be, like, that player they get around. So, unlikely to be the league MVP is Linkser. I got my one right, and the rest of mine were not right, and not even like arguably right. I had San Francisco Shock does not make room for either Super or Sinatra when they become available. That just did not happen. They're both just very clearly starting.
I specifically remember thinking you were just crazy for this. But I think in the end of the day, it wasn't too bad. And that's the point of these, right? Is that these were bold predictions. We were trying to find things. We weren't trying to name things that were likely to happen. We still would have been super wrong had that been what our goal was. Our goal was to aim for the unlikely. So the fact that we each hit on one, to be perfectly honest with you.
And the community hit on one, although the community took
It was a soft bold prediction, but it was so honestly it was not super crazy. You know, it wasn't exactly what I thought, even with Sinatra. Now, and the super conversation was just a matter of like Nomi was just so bad. Like they didn't have that option, and when he was originally billed as an off tank, it was a little more likely, I think, than when Nomi was just not getting it done and standing out as a problem and things like that. So. That became less likely fast as we got to see the play, but it wasn't too crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Not too bad, but definitely not correct.
Well, I saved my bacon on my next bold prediction here, Blevins, because I included a qualifier, and I said, assuming he doesn't talk his way out of it, XQC plays more minutes than Coco by the end of the season. And I'm not willing to concede he didn't play more minutes than Coco by the end of the season. Like, it could have been pretty close. He just kind of gave me my coward's outlet that I gave myself in the bold prediction, and talked right out of the league. So I got away with that one a little bit. What's your next one?
I highlighted that one orange because I was like, it's not wrong, but it's certainly not right. I'm not giving
I want to see the numbers. I want to see the numbers though, because it could still just be correct.
That would be hilarious. Man,
should have been correct.
Let's go. Yeah, I'll go with mine here. This one's definitely a wrong one, but notably it's not the most wrong prediction that was made. But it's very close. I had Florida Mayhem will make the playoffs. Just wrong and just not even close to being right.
I should have been right on my next one, which was also Florida Mayhem related. So let's get that one out there. Florida will, if allowed, drop at least half of their roster during the transfer window for replacements. Why didn't you guys do that? Like, what did you see in your support play? Like, just go get some supports. You missed your chance to get some more wins and make me right. And I know that they're just out there existing to make me right whenever possible. Like, that's got to be their goal at this point. It's not winning games.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost a soft prediction considering that half of their roster it was only 3 players, so not
right. Yeah,
really
it wasn't
you know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if they just cut their supports to bring in fresh blood, I would have just been so close to right. It would have been crazy. But yeah, not quite. They did bring in acquisitions that they basically had to.
Yeah,
but didn't cut any.
Did not cut anybody. My next one here, and this was my last one, still technically could happen. So maybe it's not a red, maybe it's a yellow. But I said we'll see a chunk of a team, so maybe like a core of a team or multiple players from the same team defect from their original team and try to join a Season 2 team. Now, it's because we have the rules for trades and acquisitions and free agency for the offseason, this is, I guess, less likely to happen in the like rogue way that I was expecting it to, where they're like, okay guys, we're just gonna all quit and then we're gonna join a different team. That's what we're doing, and we're just gonna like say screw this team. We're gonna like tank at the end of the season to try to get us to like the team not to renew our contracts, and then we're gonna go play for the Milwaukee team. I'm making this up. That didn't happen.
Or are you?
That didn't happen, but we could still see a number of players. We could still see a core of a team just not get picked up by their original roster and go play for an expansion team. That is definitely still a possibility. So I'll give that one a yellow, but it has not come to fruition yet.
I think we can keep it red because they don't get to defect; they get cut.
Right. My whole thing was like they were going to actively try to do it.
And we would never know if that happened. But there's no reason players couldn't go to their GMs and say, "I want out. I don't want to be here anymore." Happens all the time. I'm sure it will happen in Overwatch League. So, but we'd never, I don't think, get that information. Easily my wrongest of the wrong of my bold predictions here to kind of wrap up my side of things was Seagull ranks 9th on the Dallas field. They had 9 players at the time for playtime by the end of the season. Oops, he was their best player all year.
All along. Just didn't play.
All year, just their best player. Oops, got that one super wrong. But honestly, in the spirit of it, it wasn't super wrong. I was actually called out on this for not that bold. I think it was F and Taco. I'm very specifically remembering who called me out, like hashtag not that bold. Their intention, like he was signed to a backup contract, right? Like the plan was never to use him extensively, but he just kept outperforming basically mechanically everybody that wasn't effect. You know, they switched roles with him and they improved their diva play. Then they switched him back in the middle, like it made him really flexible and transferred him around a bunch. And he just ended up being easily their best asset. You know, like I said, I think Effect is mechanically a better player, but Seagull outperformed him and was a better team player. And
was
a better,
there.
Right. It was just
Sat in
he
the
was
seat.
the Dallas Fuel this year, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Like they went as far as Seagull carried them, and they were pretty heavy. So I don't mean that to say Seagull did anything wrong here with their bad record, but you know, they did really well, and it was in large part in stage 4 because of him.
Yeah, he pulled a Jeremy Lin in basketball, where like he was just like a backup player, essentially, literally a backup player that came in and just was better than everyone on the team, and then became the star of the team. Although he was pretty much the star of the team beforehand, but not because he was the mechanical god. It was because he's Seagull. Man, Monkey Prince is already defending himself in chat.
Yeah.
We'll get to him soon enough. We're going to move on to the Twitter bold predictions here. We'll start with @Face the Raff. He was the only technically correct, air quotes, bold prediction here. He had Seoul won't win. Okay. If you would have said Seoul won't make playoffs, that was a bold prediction. But Seoul won't win.
That was a prediction.
That
We
was a
got that prediction.
lukewarm prediction at best. Lukewarm.
Yeah, the next one here was from at Herb's parents. It was the SF Shock make the playoffs. He didn't specify stage playoffs. He didn't specify season playoffs. And he didn't need to because they didn't make it.
It did not matter.
Rip.
Yeah. Here's one from... We're saving the best for last, don't you worry.
Yeah.
We've got one here from Raycor. This one was also pretty wrong.
Yes.
0 trades or drops during the signing window, only additions. Yeah.
Wrong with a quickness. I think it was like minutes after the trade window opened. It felt like London was moving people around.
Right. And there was also drops after the trade window too. So yeah, super not quite correct is what we'll put.
Well, he said during the signing window. So if they didn't drop or trade before, if they didn't do any drops before that.
True, but also still wrong.
Oh yeah.
And last but certainly not least here, Death. Actually, literally least.
Last and least. Sorry, TMP, got to do it to you. The Shanghai Dragons will be alive in the playoff race late into the season. Again, now he didn't specify stage or season playoffs. Spectacularly wrong either way.
Yeah, horrifically. Literally could not have been more wrong.
In his line of defense here that he put into chat, was no one knew what would happen with the Shanghai Dragons unless you were Hex or Bare Hands, because no one else watched Chinese Overwatch. And if I just flip over to the power rankings real quickly, Death Blow, right, looks like they were... I thought I had them on... See, I have another tab where I have them 12, but I might have done those later.
Yeah, so
either way, they were 11, I want to say. So.
Preseason, we had...
Oh, no, I had them up at 7. Yeah, they were definitely unknown. Like, it wasn't super crazy. Their highest rank for the Shanghai Dragons was at 2.
Yeah. Slambo and Spider both had them at 11, but no one had them at 12.
Yeah, nobody did have them super far down.
You're not.
No, we were easily on record
as
saying we thought they'd get a win halfway through the season. We expected them to get a win.
Halfway through the last stage,
3/4 through the season, I expected them to get one. They're just a fantastic nightmare. No, we were all very enamored by how bad Boston looked.
Fantastic nightmare.
Yeah, we were all just really enamored with how bad Boston looked, and we were just all really all in. Like, the community as a whole, collectively, was obsessed with being tragically wrong about Boston, so we were all in there on 12.
And they had an average of 11.25 out of 12 for the ranking. The highest ranking was 8, and then a ton of people had them at 12. So really, no one was close for Boston at all.
No.
But yeah, so
I'm loving looking back at these power rankings. Let's get into this conversation.
Yeah. Let's move on specifically to the power rankings here. I want to go over some highlights here. This is the preseason here, so we'll go. We've got the preseason power rankings, and then we have beginning of stage 2 community power rankings. So if you guys remember, or if you don't, I'll go over it. We polled just about 25 different community members from the Overwatch community, ranging from casters to analysts to writers, commentators, all sorts of people in and around the Overwatch League scene. We asked them, hey, just rank who you think is going to be good in the order 1 to 12 for Overwatch League before. I believe this was after the preseason. This was before.
This was before
the preseason.
Because the next tab, the number 2 tab in our spreadsheet here, is actually hours after preseason.
Oh, okay. And then we also have the rank. We have the ratings too.
Yeah, we were still really wrong after seeing them in the preseason.
Okay, so we have the community. We have the community for before the preseason. We have hours after the preseason, and then we have the community again for the beginning of stage 2. So we'll start with with before the preseason. The rankings went as follows. In first place, Soul Dynasty with a 1.58 overall average ranking. A ton of people had them at 1, and exactly one person had them at 4, which was as low as it went. That person was me. So I'll take my point there, being the closest to correct about Soul Dynasty. In second place, number 2, was the London Spitfire with a 2.63 rating. We saw everything. We saw the full Monty here. We had a ton of people put them at 1, a bunch at 2. We got some 3s, a 6, a 4. And I was talking to him before the show, so I know that it's okay that we call him out here. I Play Games had them at 11. Not quite correct.
Honestly, if you take out stage 1, though,
Yeah.
it might be closer to correct than like me. I had them at number 1.
Yeah.
You know, and I was far from alone in that.
Right.
There was about 5-6 people or so, maybe a couple more than that, that had them that high up.
7.
And
Yep,
so he might have been closer to right than I was in that particular one, though still easy.
Yep. In third place here, this one's also quite bad. We had the Dallas Fuel with a 2.88 ranking, so really only 0.25 off of the London Spitfire.
Nobody, 0 people thought this wasn't a playoff team in the entire community.
The lowest was
the
4.
rankings go from 1 to 4. A pretty even smattering across the board.
Yeah.
Only one person put them at number 1.
Yeah. And notably, that same person had Shanghai Dragons at number 2. So just putting it out there.
Also, they're on an Overwatch League roster payroll right now, an Overwatch League team payroll.
We won't.
Right now.
We won't.
That's as much to the identity as we will put out there. But yes, it is. It was. His were interesting. I'll say that much.
Yeah, very man. If we had permission, I would love to put these out, but it's just not possible. So we're gonna give you as much as we can, but we're sorry.
These people wouldn't remember sending them to us. So
yeah, I don't want to ruffle any feathers for something so like not important. So yeah, Dallas Fuel. Every single person had them 4 or above, and really only 5 people had them out of 25. So only 20% of the people had them at 4. Everyone else had them above that. So yeah, wrong community, wrong.
No shame in that one though. That was unforeseeable what happened with
Envious
Dallas.
literally had the biggest win streak of any esports org, I think.
Yeah. They were easy money favorites.
Yeah.
Which is why I went after their fans so hot early.
And they just horrifically flopped.
Yeah, I felt bad. I had to back off.
Yeah. At number 4 here, we had NYXL. And let me just say, shame on all of you. We had
I'm fine with it.
we had them as low as number 6 for people rating them, and as high as one brave, bold, smart person
Homer.
had them at 1. Had them at number 1. One person stood the course. And just take one guess at who that was. Just take one guess at who. It was me. I had faith in them from the beginning. So anyone and everyone, and I've had this happen multiple times, anyone tries to call me out and say that I'm a bandwagon fan for NYXL, no. I was a fan of NYXL before NYXL was a team. So get off.
They were like the one Korean team that honestly was like slow to build their fan base up. Like everybody flocked Seoul. There was London didn't have a great like North American following or anything like that, but everybody kind of flocked Seoul, kind of the North Americans or the Westerners that were going to root for a Korean roster.
London was
and
just
New York
like the
was
bad guys.
Admittedly very much so kind of on the outside of that conversation.
They hadn't played in months, right? Like they didn't play in the last season of Apex, and like they just had been like sitting on their hands for so long, so like people just forgot about Elden.
Yeah, and to be fair too, we all knew they were going to be good. We all talked. There was a big 4, right? That's kind of how we referred to it as, and New York was decidedly in that big 4, and nobody'd seen Jonak before.
Right.
So Jonak was a complete unknown.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Bare Hands with his power rankings of NYXL number 1, 2 through 12.
11.
Everybody else
2 through 11. Everyone else 12. Boston was what he.
Oh, 12 Boston. That's right. And to be honest, in our power rankings contest, that submission was on the leaderboard after the first stage. So that's telling about how drastically wrong everybody was in that contest in the first stage.
I'd just like to address another thing that came up in chat that says I'm a bandwagon fan of the Cavs. Incorrect. I'm not actually, and never have been, a Cavs fan. I've been a LeBron James fan since he was playing at St. Vincent St. Mary's High School. So again, get on my level. I'm a bandwagon LeBron James fan who's been following him since he played in high school. Sorry.
So we agree. You're a bandwagon LeBron James fan. Okay,
but never once have I been a Cavs fan. I don't care about them. When LeBron James left, I immediately stopped caring about them and was a air quotes Heat fan. But I get riled up. The only thing I'm a bandwagon fan in, is specifically football, where my favorite team for the season is whoever won the Super Bowl last season. I'm actively a bandwagon fan.
I hate you for it, but I'll take number 5 here since it's none other than my Houston Outlaws here. They had an average ranking of 5.5. The high watermark here, if we can call them out, we're calling them out. It's I Play Games, put them at number 2. Thank you. I appreciate it. You saw what I saw, and that was meta that wouldn't be super tracer heavy, and then it just got punished immediately. And then the low water mark was Mr. Blevons trying to debate me and troll me. Put them at number 9, and I had them personally at number 5. I think it's really interesting, Blevins. They literally fell immediately in between the two of us. Like wow. We were right, equally wrong on opposite directions with them. So yeah, honestly, everybody was kind of in the ballpark here, right? Like, they were in the conversation going into the last week, possibly able to get into the 5 seed. That would have again required like a Shanghai win or whatever in order to happen, but mathematically possible going into the last week. And then, they were right there at 7, just outside the race. People thought of them as a playoff team for sure. Obviously looking at this, there was very few had them on the outside looking in, which turned out to be the case. Only 2 people pegged them exactly. So 2 people we can't name, but nonetheless, everybody in the ballpark, but almost nobody exactly right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm going through and like putting in the actual rankings that they ended up at the end of the season. But so number 6 here is the Shanghai Dragons, man.
Yes.
Honestly, and we talked about this when it happened. This one was more of a we just don't know about this team at all. We're just not sure, and like people are like building. I remember building the power rankings and being like, okay, well, I feel like they're here. The top 4 kind of sorted out, and like we've got our bottom here, and we're like basically 5 through like 10 were like, I don't really know where to put these people, so we're just going to put them all around, and it averaged out to Shanghai Dragons being at number 6. Again, we had an unnamed person put them at number 2, and then a couple put them down at 11. No one put them at the bottom, though.
In my defense, if you look at the 4th tab that says DB post preseason, Blevins, it took, and I remember having this conversation when we talked about Boston versus Shanghai in the preseason, and I said very specifically, man, that felt like number 11 was playing number 12, and there was mistakes everywhere. So it didn't take long for people to get much more right about the Shanghai Dragons, but like you said, they were an unknown quantity coming in. Not a lot of people were paying close attention to what the Chinese scene was doing. We'd heard, tell of the miraculous youngsters and all the good plays from them, and then the signing happened, and none of them were there. And we
found out they were all 17.
Right? Did they find better players? Was what we were wondering for ourselves, and we had no idea. So this one was very all over the board, like you said. I mean, there was one person at 2, but he wasn't alone. Somebody had him 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I literally everything but number 12.
Yeah.
And number 1 was
1 and 12
was in the range.
Everyone knew they weren't the best team, and everyone thought they weren't the worst team. How wrong they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a funny one. I think, let's see, that's 6 places off. I think that's the biggest disparity, right? That's probably the most wrong we were.
Dallas had,
or what was? Oh no, Dallas went from 3 to 10, so that's 7 places, and then Boston was.
they finished 3.
They finished 3 from 12, so that's actually 9. Or no, yeah, that's 9 places. It was actually Boston was the biggest disparity, but we'll go over that in a second. So at the 7 rank here from the community was the LA Valiant, and their finished rank was 2, so off by 5. I mean, honestly, no one really expected them to finish at number 2.
No.
Up until the end, no one was really expecting that.
Full disclosure, we weren't the lowest, okay? But we were the 2nd and 3rd lowest. I had them at 10th. Blevins had them at 11th. This was coming fresh off of their Contenders Season 1 catastrophe. They're like just getting blanked by everybody. They were getting beaten by Gamers Origin and like, you know, all these teams that we didn't even know where they came from. You know what I mean? They were just Gamers Origin, I think, was on the EU side of the bracket. Envision was on our side. That was the surprise. So yeah, you know, they just got completely blanked in the event that Fedden led directly right into Overwatch League. Clearly, they got it turned around. You know, they won the first season 0 of Contenders, then dumpstered out in this season 2. So they were a little bit all over the place. Yeah, the high water mark at 5 though, and nobody was even remotely correct on the 2.
Yeah, community off by a whole 5 ranks there. Number 8 here, only off by 3, but it was the Florida Mayhem. I mean, we had. I was in the high. I was tied for the highest here, at 5. I mean, you think about it. If you look at the same, it was basically the same mistake of. It was the same but opposite mistake of LA Valiant. It's like, look at Contenders, Immortal or Mayhem or Misfits. Man, I'm dying
lost
here.
in the finals to Gigante.
Lost in the finals, but like they looked really soft in that specific finals. But everything before that was an actual domination of by Misfits up until that point. So it's like people, and I defended them for a very, very long time, being like, guys,
through
this
stage
is
1,
same team. This is the same team. Yeah,
through stage 1, and listen to the most correct, or not really, because somebody actually hit it. Listen, the Omnic Lab guys, I'm gonna give Rob credit for getting the ranking exactly right. Pegged them right at 11.
Yeah.
iPlay put them at 12. We've called iPlay out for being wrong a couple times. I figured we'd give him one where he was pretty darn right as well. You know, saw the writing on the wall there. Honestly, if this team had joined up with, you know, 8 or 10 players on the roster, I think we would have seen people leave their rankings up in the playoff conversation, to be perfectly honest with you. And we really, I think as a community, props to everyone, correctly identified that bringing 6 people and 1 coach meant you weren't going to do anything because you weren't taking it seriously.
Right.
And that, you know, so that was really what stood out, I think, about remembering trying to rank them was just, man, like, who doesn't love Tavik and all these stuff, but like, you know, we knew Swoosh wasn't a world beater on main tank, and they didn't have the options. They couldn't go anywhere if things didn't work out, you know, and Logix wasn't playing his best going into it. There was some things stacking up against Florida, but their history, like you said, you know, they ran Europe for the longest time. That was their region. And it was nobody saw, I think, this except for obviously Omnic Lab and Soothsayers.
Yeah, no one really expected the paradigm shift of Overwatch League and really understood exactly how big of an investment it was compared to the old scene. It's like night and day. It was I mean, I think I remember saying this or saying something close to it of like, I imagine that what we saw pre Overwatch League, that's going to look like JV compared to what Overwatch League becomes. And it absolutely is. It's just a completely different speed. It's a completely different level of commitment. It's a completely different, just about everything. Where, like, if you're basing things off of the old world of Overwatch, it's just not. You're going to get burned like a lot of, like, basically everyone did in these preseason power rankings. they were done for fun. And a lot of people, for what it's worth, a lot of people were like, I don't really want to submit these because they mean nothing. And we're like, but what about for funsies? And like specifically for this episode and the episode we originally got.
Right.
We need 2 episodes worth of content, and they certainly have delivered.
I remember the bold predictions episode came about because we're like, oh man, if we take this week off for the holiday,
yeah,
we'll be starting Overwatch League on episode 99. And we really want to start Overwatch League on episode 100.
Yep.
So we like just made up some silly, goofy prediction. We took it seriously. We tried to come up with things that had a snowball's chance of happening. But yeah, you know, it was a lot of these things. And when we did them, we were just trying to like fill airtime with fun content and, you know, just things that were goofy that we could talk about. I don't ever remember. I mean, I went to college and struggled at times and had to switch majors. I don't remember a task harder than actually trying to accurately rank these power rankings.
Yeah, I don't even know. It would be too much math for me to figure out who got the actual closest, but I'm not going to do that. Let's just say that I did because I was the only one that predicted the number 1 seed.
There's no, I disagree.
That's how we're gonna rank this year.
How you're going to rank.
Yep. Exactly. The number 9 seed here was Philadelphia Fusion. So behind the Florida Mayhem, ended up at 6. So only 3 off again.
Did anybody get them exactly right? Oh yeah, we did.
Did we?
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
we
sure
both?
did.
Oh,
Philadelphia
yeah,
Fusion
sure
put them both
did.
Right at 6. We were also the high water mark for the team.
Yeah. And also the person who had Shanghai or had
no.
Am I looking at the wrong thing? Yeah, I am.
Yep.
I sure am. Okay, never mind. No, not Rob again. Also got it right. So maybe Rob was the one who got this.
He sure nailed a couple of them. Yeah.
Man, he may have.
I got to look at all of them in relation.
Let's see where he had NYXL, and we'll put it. Oh, it's not 1. Okay, automatic disqualification. Oh, he had an NYXL at 5. Yeah, that's an automatic DQ. Not even close. But yeah, I mean, Philly was definitely the hardest to pick out because if you remember correctly, they weren't even going to play preseason. Although this is before the preseason, so I guess it was the same as everyone else. But like they were one of the Franken teams. We weren't sure. Yeah. It's funny, they were a Franken team and then turned it into a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde team. But yeah, we were. That was one of the biggest questions going into Overwatch League is like, are the established cores going to do better, or is it going to be the Franken teams that do better? And it was, I mean, if you look at the playoffs, let's see, NYXL mostly established team. Boston Franken team, Philly Franken team, Gladiators Franken team, and Valiant was an established core, and London was 2 established cores. So it was actually 3 and 3. So it answered nothing about which was a better approach. It was literally exactly the same in terms of being able to get a playoff spot. But yeah, people I mean, we got it right, but I mean, at least for me, that was like, I don't know where to put these. Let me fill out the rest of the spots first and see what I have left over. Okay, I've got Shanghai and Philly left. Let's see, where did I put? Yeah, I put Shanghai at 7 and Philly at 6, so I just like threw them in at the end.
Check your email. Check your email.
Nice.
We've got an announcement before the end of the episode.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was number 9 here, right? That's what we just did? Oh, no, we just did Philly at 10. We just did Philly.
No, we did Philly at 9. No, it's 9.
Oh,
Philly's
okay.
9. Yeah, Philly.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. There was like a break in the rankings. Okay.
Yeah.
So going on to number 10, we have the San Francisco Shock. Not super far off here, to be perfectly honest with you. They finished 9th in the year, and we had varying ranks on them all the way from 4 to 12. They were a team that was easy to put at the bottom, to be fair, because we knew their strat wasn't going to be, really heavy on trying to win season 1, and especially stages 1 and 2 when they didn't have their young players. The signing of Super and Sinatra really told us that they were thinking long-term, thinking future, and, not really giving everything towards, stage 1 playoffs or what have you. And I think in the long run, they looked good enough at the end of the year. I think it's going to pay off for them. But yeah, as far as Blevins and I specifically, I put them at 11th. Blevins put them at 8th. So again, we were kind of each on the opposite end, but very, very close to the same amount of wrongness at the end of the day. And yeah, that one was, I think, pretty good. We did a good job as a community, I think, narrowing that one down.
Yeah, and also I think it was hard to evaluate them because half of when filling this out, we put it like who don't you want to play in week 1 or who don't you want to play against. So it was like, well, San Francisco Shock is definitely going to be punching under their weight because they don't have their whole roster unlocked. So
right. Yeah, that's a good point. We weren't trying to predict end standings. We were naming. So really,
this whole discussion means nothing except that it's fun and it's fun to look back at.
Yeah, it never meant it.
Yeah, it's like the clip shows and the looking back episodes of sitcoms. They don't mean anything towards the story, but they're fun and everyone loves them. And that's what I'm gonna keep telling myself this is.
And then going into number 11 here, we have one that we all kind of low key got right at the time, but at the end of the day, very, very wrong. We had the LA Gladiators here, number 11, an average rating of 10.08, picks ranging from 7 down to 12. Yeah. And us personally, we were 9 and 10. This was a fissure-less team led by the main tanking stylings of iRemix. And they were about in that 9th, 10th.
They were that good.
I think they were 8 at the time when they made that trade. They were above San Fran, Florida, and Shanghai. I think was the teams they were better than. Then they changed up the roster, made a big addition, a high impact player, and turned themselves into a player. So I don't want to shame anybody in the community on this one. We did a good job with what we had in front of us at the time. They just did what they adapted really, really well, to be honest. Saved their season, their inaugural season. They were not on pace to be a playoff team.
Yeah, and then Fissure came in and said, who's better than Fissure?
So handsome. Handsome.
No one is better than Fissure except for Jonak, who's better than everyone. But he doesn't count because he's not human. Moving on to the number 12 here. The biggest disparity that we saw, I believe, I don't think anyone could possibly be a bigger disparity than this. 1 and 8 is 7. We're only off by 1 with the San Francisco shot. It's the Boston Uprising. Boy, oh boy, did people hate Boston before the preseason. And actually, I believe even after the preseason, people still hated them because they looked real bad.
Yeah, they were playing really, really bad at the time, so it was hard to move them. Looks like 7 people of the 25 that we submitted didn't put them at dead last, number 12. And then now they are our number 3 seed. I don't have anything to say about this. Buck Boston. That's what I have to say. That's all I got.
All I would like to say,
they played stage 4 like we were right,
is notably here someone who has publicly said that they didn't have Boston at number 12. I'm not going to name any names. But they have them,
so I can see it.
But but they did, in fact, put them at 12.
That's right. I remember hearing it, and then we were talking, and we're like, "Let's go to the tape."
Yeah, I remember when it was said. Perhaps
also among the most adamant about not publishing the names. Next to them, so definitely gonna hold.
Yeah, I'm gonna not say who it is, although I want to leak it so bad, but I'm under friend DA, so I'm not gonna ruin it.
We'll give him grief next time we talk to him.
Or her. Maybe it's a her. It's not a her.
I don't think there's a her on this list.
There is on some of the old the
later ones.
The later ones. Yeah. We made more friends. But yeah. That's it. So a quick recap. We had Seoul Dynasty at 1. They ended up at 8. We had London at 2. They ended up at 5. We had, and when I say we, I mean the whole community. We had Dallas Fuel at 3. They ended up at 10. We had NYXL at 4. They ended up at 1. We had Houston Outlaws at 5. They ended up at 7. Pretty close. We had Shanghai Dragons at 6. They ended up at 12. LA Valiant at 7, ending up at 2. Florida Mayhem at 8, ending up 11. Philly Fusion at 9, ending up at 6. San Francisco Shock ending at 10, ending up at 9. And then LA Gladiators at 11, ending up at 4. And Boston at 12, ending up at 3. So literally we didn't get even a single one right as a community of and I'm not even like tooting our own specific horn. We talk to, I'm just gonna say, the utmost like experts on the competitive Overwatch scene, like not even including us. We asked anyone, like think of 3 people who you think are experts in Overwatch League, like competitive Overwatch. They are guaranteed on this list, is what I will say. Like there are very few exceptions to that. At least people who would be considered experts before Overwatch League started. There's at least one that we don't have that I didn't know enough to ask, but now I would definitely have asked. But yeah, it's man. It's just funny to see that we just did not even get a single one right as a community. The combined power and rankings in the preseason just was not enough to get even a single correct. So yeah, this was the payoff for when we did it. This is what we wanted, to see if all of the experts of the league could predict the final standings. Yeah. And
a truly impossible task.
Yeah.
We got the answer we expected.
Yeah, we got the answer of 0. We got it. We failed. But we're at about an hour, so we don't really need to do this last thing.
Do we want to just point them to foul play where we did something similar?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure.
So I had just a list of a couple of things, because I wasn't sure how long we were going to be doing this. I was fully expecting us to be here at a half an hour instead of an hour. But went over like a bunch of like surprises and highlights or things that were really kind of cool about Overwatch League. And you guys did it on foul play, obviously focusing more on fantasy, but tying into Overwatch League as a whole. So check that out if you're looking for like more of a reminiscing episode of that. I mean, we're gonna have weeks for sure in the off season where we can do stuff like this, so there's no need to front load it now. If we're gonna be begging for content 3 weeks after the grand finals, so we'll save this for another time. But if you are looking for something now, highlights or reminiscing about the season, head over and check out the foul play episode for sure. But that's going to bring us close to the end. What do we want?
We do want to probably go through that announcement real fast, right?
Oh yeah, we sure do.
So literally while recording this episode, we got an email with invitations for us to go to the Barclays Center for the grand finals. And we've talked about how we're going anyways. We purchased tickets to go and watch. This is kind of like influencer access, or I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's called media badges here, but that's essentially what happened. So
like
we're really hoping, right? We're really hoping to have the opportunity to bring you guys some kind of behind the scenes content.
Yeah.
We will at bare minimum be able to talk about what it was like back there. We've got to try to figure out what we can do to maybe record there. We'll try to record stuff from our phones or maybe do a Periscope or something like that. We'll do something to help get
we'll at least get pictures and tweets and stuff. For sure.
And hopefully, get to meet some players and have some fun content on Twitter for you guys while that goes on. So we're really happy about that. It's great to see happen. So big thanks to everybody that made those decisions and helped us with that process. Really appreciate.
I'm hoping. So we've known Hexagrams for what, like 2 years now? Has it been?
Yeah.
Like close to that. I've been at BlizzCon at the same time as him 2 or 3 times, and we've just never met because the schedules are extremely hectic at BlizzCon. So maybe, just maybe, we'll finally get to meet.
Well, all we've got to do is find out where the caster's booth is, and then you just get behind me and I'll lead block.
Yeah,
and
we
we'll
just go.
We'll just get you
climb
there.
up your back. just belly flop on.
Good luck, security. I know you're used to nerds, but that's not what's showing up here.
I mean, if they have Barclays Center security, they might have legit security with like tasers and stuff. But I'm pretty sure I can get at least a couple of yards while I'm being tased.
Right. Also, they've got to drop me before they can hit you if you're right behind me.
Yeah,
so
I just
basically
use
a water
shield.
buffalo.
I just use you as Reinhardt. You can find Blevins at the bar around 1 a.m. Yeah, just wandering around aimlessly. That's for sure. Yeah, so definitely we are going to try to do that. Oh yeah, Twitch mobile app has streaming. I've tried to do it. We're gonna have to see.
We'll look into it, Josh. We'll probably do some test streams, stuff like that, to see what the quality looks like. Things like that. It's
extremely battery taxing, and battery is going to be a very valued commodity at a thing where it's not my house. So, it might not make sense to do that. I also don't know what the internet's going to be like there in the center, but. We'll definitely try some stuff. We're going to try to get at least like some clips or tweets, pictures, something. And at the very minimum, we'll have at least an episode worth of stories to tell. For sure. So yeah, huge shout outs to Blizzard. Huge shout outs to MASH from Overwatch Score for kind of nudging us over the top, I think, and getting the invite. So huge shout outs to him, kind of poking the bear a little bit to kind of nudge us over the top to get those. So awesome. Oh, this is a good question maybe to end off with. Obviously, I'm rooting for NYXL to win it all, but who is your dog here? Who are you rooting for to win?
Oh, it's the Gladiators. I really like the way they've been able to incorporate Fissure. Fissure's also easily the most fun player in the interviews and after the fact and things. Like
Mickey, bro, come on.
Yeah,
Mickey,
100%.
It's Mickey.
Mickey is like, he puts a smile on my face. He doesn't have to talk, and he can put a smile on my face. But in the interviews, Fissure brings the heat. Yeah. He brings everything. Like he is just absolutely just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
I love, I think Surefour is been a player that I've hyped up and talked about. I haven't listed him as a favorite ever really, but he's always been a player I've really liked as well. And then, I mean, we are both noted not small goose fans.
I do not like small geese.
and I've been a really big fan of Shaz as well. Kind of like the whole of Gladiators has like been my secondary players I really like and really enjoy. There's been a couple others like Boombox on Philly. There's a couple other guys around, but my absolute favorite players all congregated into Houston. And then my secondary players that I really enjoy seem to all congregate towards the Gladiators. So it's kind of a no-brainer for me. So yeah, they're definitely who I'm rooting for. And then one more thing before we sign off, Blevins, we do have a iTunes review, and I get called out in it very specifically. Taking advantage of the fact that I said I would read anything you guys wrote in these reviews. A 5-star review titled Fantastic Podcast from Dolphin Laugh. This show makes my commute much better as I get a entertaining and comprehensive dive into the competitive Overwatch scene before each week's matches. Almost didn't get that one out. You said you'd read any review you got, so Deathblow, please repeat after me. 80% of the fans voting for a team to win does not mean the fans think that team has an 80% chance of winning. It just means 80% of fans think that team has at least a 51% chance of winning. I might have read that terribly or whatever. It did make sense if I did. Two teams can be closely matched, but if the consensus is that one team looks slightly better, the smart move would be for most fans to vote for them. I know there's a correlation between what you are interpreting and what the stats are actually saying, but it irrationally bugs me each week. Show us. Really appreciate the review.
We got that
Dolphin
feedback
Laugh.
a while
Listen
ago.
after me, Dolphin, okay? I am very aware of what you just said, but when I'm making my pick armed with the information of how many fans are doing it, what I'm saying is, because I don't think it's an 81% chance, it creates an opportunity for me to be right where the bulk of people are being wrong. Now, I might not have said that.
Yeah.
I might not have said that and articulated that correctly each and every time. You are 100% correct that it's not saying, that they have an 80% chance to win, but I'm saying if I don't think they have an 80% chance to win, then that's my opportunity. That's my flip.
Right.
So that's how I read it and interpret it. But I know I totally get what you're saying, and you're 100% correct. Yeah, just wanted to clarify in the future, and if you're ever doing pick 'em with us later on next year, I'll probably say the same thing, because I'm saying because that's not true, because the 80% chance doesn't make sense, I'm going the other direction. But yes, I know that's not what.
Yeah, and also that, like, if that's what you've thought the whole time, then you've missed out on a lot of potential points for our flips. If that's what you've been because the whole reason is that it's like, if everything was 50-50, right, then it doesn't matter who you pick. You're either right or wrong. You're never going to go up. If you always pick, like, if you're in 10th place, right, and it's an 80-20, 80% of the fans pick one team, 20% of the fans pick the other team, and everyone above you always picks with the consensus, so everyone in the top always picks with the 80. You picking with the 80 is never going to advance you points. That's why we're saying the flip, because you have to pick against what other people are picking so that you can go up in ranks. It's not just about getting points. You have to get points above other people in the ranks. I feel like if that's what you got from what we've been saying this whole time, then you've messed up pick 'em entirely. And maybe not entirely, but that's what we've been saying. And Deathblow definitely has his mic muted right now, and he doesn't know that.
I do. But yeah, you're not Thon, so you didn't.
That's true. You are not Thon, so therefore you definitely did miss out on points.
And we clearly don't have it mastered either, because we weren't even top. So
I had it mastered. I was purposely tanking.
Yeah, I threw into the ground. Yep. Didn't have what it takes to win his own prizes.
Yes.
Because that was literally in the rules that you weren't allowed to. So
I mean, it wasn't in the rules, but it wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I feel like maybe we can have, again, we're going to be clawing for content, weeks and months after the playoffs in the off season. So maybe we'll have a complete how to do pick'ems properly episode, just because, like, that's the whole thing. It's like you don't.
It's a weird game, pick'ems.
Yeah.
It operates independently of a lot of fantasy thoughts. So if you're a fantasy football player and you've never done a pick'em league for the NFL or something like that, like, it's a completely different ball game. But I think generally, Dolphin, we agreed on what I was saying. Just you wanted some slightly different wording.
Someone, I think it was Icarium actually that brought it up, like, early on, because I would always say it like 80. It was an 80%, and I meant what I meant, but I said the wrong thing.
And until we get somebody putting down odds, that's the best we could come up with for odds too. Like we'll give betting odds and betting lines when we have them available on more mainstream. I mean, I know there were people doing some betting, but I'm also not a big betting guy. I don't understand the lines necessarily and all that stuff.
Everyone, they always say the Vegas odds, and I just always imagine that there's like a robot with a cowboy hat in Vegas, just like boop, 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 boop. These are the odds that the San Francisco Shock will make the playoffs. 1 in 200,000.
I wish he was in New York and they just called them Vegas. Like it was just a robot named Vegas.
Oh, maybe it is just a robot with a cowboy hat. It's like,
yeah, just sitting in New York, like nobody knows why he's named Vegas.
The Boston Uprising have a 1 in 200,000 shot of winning. It's just, I don't know. Okay, Vegas, thanks. Yeah, Vegas it's like V.E.G. Yeah, it's just like a supercomputer. I'm not gonna there's people in the chat that are making arguments that are incorrect about what we're talking about, so I'm not going to address them all, but because that's going to be the end of it, we'll do a pick'em episode because now I understand that a bunch of people are not interpreting the pick'em stuff the way that we meant it. We'll definitely have a pick'em episode at some point in the off season, but I think that's going to be it. Is there anything else that we want to do? Anything else we want to?
No, I even remembered the iTunes reviews without having to stall for time.
Yeah,
so
and we're at exactly an hour 15. That's our cue to get going. That's me, guys. Thank you so much, Dolphin Noises, for the review. I hope that you get why we say what we do, and I hope if anyone has any questions about the pick'em and what we're talking about with pick'em, just let us know. I'd be happy to explain it more. And like the game theory.
If anybody has any comments like that and they don't want to give it a review and make it public and give us the chance to joke around with you a little bit back, just go into the Discord, use the show suggestions. We're very receptive to feedback like that. If it's something like, I'm not even saying this was, but if it's like a miscommunication or something like that, it gives us the opportunity to address it on the air and make sure we clear it up for anybody else. Because whenever somebody has a question or whenever that bothered Dolphin, there's no way it was alone. Even TMP was in chat, like, thank you whoever wrote that review. So it's you're never alone, and we're always happy to talk to you about it and see what we can do to maybe improve the show or something like that. I don't think that one is going to be coming out of the future Pick'em conversations, but we will at least talk about it, figure it out, and find out what's going on. So hop in the Discord, discord.me/high-noon-podcast.
Yeah. Also, I swear this is the last thing I'm going to say this episode about the Pick'em. One comment that was brought up in chat is that is basically the answer to it is that if you're leading in Pick'em, you should always pick with the higher ranking because. Or the higher percentage. You shouldn't flip. Yeah. You should flip less when you're high up because if everyone is going up, or either if the majority of people are going up, you're all going up with them and you're already above them, so you go up the same amount. And if you are, and if you're below, you want to flip more because there needs to be a difference in movement, whether up or down. Like you have to take a riskier because maybe they go up and you go way down. But like being in second is the same. Being not in first is the same as being in last for the most part, or top 3 or whatever. But done with that. We'll do a whole episode on Pick'em. I'm actually kind of glad that that got brought up because
thank you very much
for
like
talking about the Pick'em. I like the game of Pick'em and the game theory stuff behind it. But that's gonna be it, guys. Thanks everyone for the reviews. Remember, you can check out. We've got a lot of stuff going on in Discord. Discord.me/high-noon-podcast. You can check out all the shows and everything that we do over at high-noon-podcast.com. You can, if you'd like to support us financially, you can go over to patreon.com/high-noon-podcast. And become a patron there, or you can go to twitch.tv/high-noon-podcast. You can become a sub, Twitch Prime sub, bits, all that stuff. All helps the show and helps us do stuff like go to the grand finals and to BlizzCon. So thank you for all that. But that is going to be it, guys, for Deathblow. I'm the Blevins. And remember, it's high noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. Threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
I literally could talk for hours about Pick'em, so I'm definitely it is 100% happening, whether you guys want it or not. Pick'em episode is happening.
I'm sick there.